Good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock. We are here for our regular commission meeting. And if you would please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on this evening's agenda is to consider the minutes of the May 13th meeting as well as the May 16th special meeting.
I move we approve.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Next item is to receive the Senior Center 2026 budget request. Welcome.
So, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am Lynn, the director at the Senior Center. I've been the director since July of 2022. I would also like to introduce some board members that have come along. Bob Driscoll, our board chair. Gaylord Sanneman, our board treasurer. Sherry Folk, our board secretary. And Jean Mitchell, one of our board members. So, this is my second time presenting to this commission, so I do not feel I need to repeat most of what I said last year. The one thing that does stay constant from year to year with the Senior Center is the importance of community and what it means to our participants and their overall life. That has not changed. All that means to be community is still the most important aspect of what the Senior Center represents. As times change, we change the center, and we continue to support that community. Included in your packet was an outline of our finances. As you can see from expenses versus the income, we are short $12,750. This deficit is made up from donations and fundraisers from October to April. From April to September, we try and put all the money raised from donations and fundraisers towards the building project. For example, the renovation of our 1968 bathrooms last year. This year, the money earned from donations and fundraisers from April to September will be going towards a new roof. The next building project, hopefully, will be replacing the floors. They are the original floors from 1968. Our overall budget for the center for 2025 is $45,000. This is down from a budget of $70,000 in 2022. We have lowered our insurance premium by raising our deductibles. We've installed LED lights and smart thermostats to lower our utility bills. We have changed how we make copies. We are down to a bare bones, no frills expense budget. But none of this is taken away from what we offer to our participants. We still are providing what they need in terms of resources and community. But no matter how you look at it, we are still short $12,750 to make budget. We run 1, 2, sometimes 3 fundraisers a month to keep us going. One good thing about having small fundraisers is that our participants can donate a little this month and then a little bit next month, and they feel like they are helping in their own small way. Unfortunately, this is not a sustainable long-term solution. It's also very stressful to continue to come up with new and interesting ways to raise money that does not take a lot of time and physical energy. Speaking for myself, as a 72-year-old senior, I find it very difficult to understand why the City of Newton would not want to help support a center that is so beneficial to its senior population. A population that still pays taxes and votes you into office. I find it difficult to understand how the city can pay $15,000 to light a mural at the edge of town, pay city workers to block off streets, and extra police presence for a parade for a wrestling champion. Mind you, I have nothing against him, but did he really need a parade? A city that gives 10-year tax abatements to large corporations, but struggles with helping Mennonite Housing build more units for senior citizens. A city that gives $4 million toward a library building. Now, nothing against the library building, but they could have built a building less grand and still serve the same purpose. The wetlands are another example. They were built by private donations, but they're maintained by the city. The same city struggles to give their senior center funding each year. We are, however, very appreciative of the $5,000 you gave us for 2025. But it's difficult for our senior population to see the city spending going on, knowing that they are only worth $5,000 to their city. The senior center used to get $20,000 a year from the city. I was not here, so I am not sure why that changed to each year hoping we get something. I was reluctant last year to ask for a specific dollar amount. This year, I am asking if you would consider going back to giving us the $20,000 that you had in the past. That $20,000 would take care of our deficit and allow us to have some extra money to add more programs. It would also take some of the pressure off of constantly having to make budget and also make much-needed improvements to our building. Now, I know it's been over 3 years since many of you have had a chance to visit the senior center. A lot has changed in the last 3 years. We are not only a place for activities, we are a community of seniors, learning how to cope with our ever-changing world. We have seen a significant increase in participation, not only in our activities, but also in the programs to support the well-being of our seniors. In 2024, we had 15,393 individuals that visited the center. That means over 15,000 people from Newton walked through our door in a year's time. 641 of those were first-time visits. So far this year, which we're not even halfway through the year yet, we have had 6,842 individual visits. If we keep that pace up, we'll be well over 16,000 visits for 2025. So far this year, 232 of them were first-time visits. We would love to have you visit and see firsthand what the Senior Center is all about. I am confident you will be impressed with the positive energy and see for yourself the important role the center plays in the life of Newton seniors. There are a few of you on the commission that have been here for a few years and have not always had a positive experience with the Senior Center. Can I please ask you to try and forget that and look at the Senior Center as it is today and how it would look going forward? If any of you saw the article in the Now this past week, the title of the article, I think, says it all, that the culture and the perception of the Senior Center is changing. I might add, in a very positive way. I would also like to invite you to some of the many activities we have going on at the center in the next few weeks. Tomorrow at 10:30, the Newton High School robotics team is coming to give a demo of their robot they used in competition. I understand from the coach that the kids are quite excited about coming. They think it's pretty cool that seniors are interested in what they are doing. This is an intergenerational event. We have quite a few activities that are intergenerational. Even though it is, quote, a senior center, there is no age limit for participants. We have grandkids of some of our participants that love to come to potluck or for lunch. They feel comfortable at the center and are not shy about talking to the seniors. And the seniors love engaging with them. We also have an Honor Society kids that come and help us with some of our events. We never have a problem getting the kids to sign up. They also feel quite comfortable coming to the center. Our big day coming up is Saturday, June the 7th. We're having an open house from 4 to 6. This is an opportunity for the community to come and see what we're all about, and also to give our donors the opportunity to see where their donations went in the renovation of our bathrooms. At 6:30 that same evening, the Golden Notes Choir will be putting on a concert in the parking lot across from the Senior Center. At that concert, we will also be having a drawing for our summer fun raffle. June the 9th is our monthly potluck dinner at 5:30. Hope some of you will be able to attend one of these events. If not, remember there is an open invitation to come anytime and visit. Thank you again for the opportunity to come and present to you. And does anybody have any questions?
Can you repeat the numbers you said for total visits for 24 and then new visits and then 25, the same thing?
Okay, so in '24, we had 15,393.
And what do you consider a visit?
Anybody that walks in the door,
So
Is
if,
that unduplicated? Or
that's unduplicated.
so if a person goes in 3 times in a week, that's just one visit?
No, that's 3 visits.
Okay, so that is duplicated.
It is duplicated.
Well,
Not in the same day, though.
not in the same day.
Yeah.
That's what we
I
mean
mean,
by,
that's what you're doing, is you're the seniors in your community are
Right.
making use of it. So
Right.
if this many comes in this day, that's that many visits. If this many come in this day, that's that many.
right?
Yeah.
And then we've had, out of that, 41 of them were first-time visits.
Do you know how many people have used it?
Have what?
How
many
people
clients?
How many clients have used it? That was the number we always had a hard time getting. Are you serving 380 people, or are you serving 420?
I'm not sure what you mean about, because to me, that 15,000, we're serving 15,000 people.
Is that 500 people that came in 300 days of the year?
I see
Or
what
is
you're
that-
saying. Okay. Well, that I can't,
10,000 Harvey County citizens.
that would be
in a total.
difficult
Yeah.
to, Jean, can you? Yeah.
I kind of do the data entry for visits and such. Last year on our participant list, which records everyone one time, the first time they come in.
Yeah.
We had 774.
Good, good.
That includes everybody from Newton that comes, that includes the visiting pool men that come.
Yeah.
For tournaments, it's 774.
Okay.
So
I believe this year thus far, that list is around 475. Is that what you're asking?
Okay, yes.
yes.
We've been asking that for 10 years.
Oh,
And that's why,
The systems
Yeah.
take care of that.
But I
Yeah,
think the
well, God
reporting
bless
was
you for
different, though.
giving us that.
And a
number.
follow-up question, of the 641 first-time visits, do you know how many of those, or it can estimate how many of those have come back for a second visit or a third visit or whatever?
well, that also would be
Well, I try, I can't every
Yeah.
week, but I try to go back and record, like if they come in once for information from the desk, do they come again for a potluck? And I can't say an exact number for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be kind of hard to.
But I try.
it's kind of hard to quantify because what we do is we have, each activity has their own sheet with names on it, and so we go off of that. So we could go back and look and see that Sally comes in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for chair exercise. But then she also comes back for potluck, and then she may come back for, and a fundraiser that we would have.
I remember seeing your activity sheets, and if somebody came in and did this activity, that activity drew X amount of people. If
Right.
that person chose then to go over here to do another activity that may have been going on at the same time, then that activity drew this X amount of people. So that, you had these amount of activities, and how many people did you have attending? That person that came in the door may have gone to 2 separate activities, but you were recording by activity, I think is what you were showing me.
Right.
And you would have to.
Right. So like right now for chair exercise, we usually average about 20 people for chair exercise. And there's about probably 15 that come for line dancing. But that also, we add and subtract from that, as the year goes on.
So it would be safe to say that if you show 400 and some, whatever the number was, 450 this year, 740, whatever that number was last year, so it's somewhere between the 450 and 750 people that regularly use the center. That be safe to say?
Right, and I mean, we do have a participant list, but some people choose not to sign up on that participant list. But, I mean, I could get that information and get it to Daniela to tell you exactly how many individual people would be. I guess because we don't normally use that data in what we have present to the county. And so it's not something I know off the top of my head, but it's something we could get for you.
Okay.
No, it'd be super handy. That was kind of my note, was that census info that you were sharing was really great to hear and everything, because that helps
is.
us in our drive our decision-making and everything. And I think that's why the change happened with the budgetary contributions that were happening, because the communication wasn't there. That's not your cross to bear. We're moving forward and
Right. And we've tried really hard since I started in July of 2022 to get clear, accurate records and numbers, because we also needed to justify that to the county also, because there was some questions. So we have tried to strive. Jean does a really great job of keeping track of all the numbers for.
Well,
She
you
does,
do a
that's-
great job, and the potlucks are good. I run into problems getting there now with work, but I wholeheartedly support what you're doing. Your potlucks have always been well attended, nearly packed in that room.
Right.
And I remember in years before when my husband and I attended, they were maybe half of that. So,
Well, we try to come up with a different theme every month and, make it, sometimes we have costume contests, sometimes we just, we try to theme the food around it. And so we've tried to make it as homey and comfortable as possible, and sort of try to take that institutionalized part out of it.
There's been a noticeable change.
Thank you. Yeah, we're having a great time.
yeah, seniors can have a good time.
We can.
Can.
Well, when we get to be seniors, then there's no holds barred, we can do what we want to do.
Right.
Life still
We're not
does go on.
responsible for our own actions.
I just have a comment would like to make. I had the privilege of being able to sit with Len and the board last week on Friday, and to visit with them, just to see where, kind of like explore goals and what they're, and like if we want to do fundraisers, what that would look like, and and it kind of seems like their big like overall plan is like one day have a nice building and things like that one day, but of course they're a while yet away from that. But I mean, my observation, I spent maybe an hour and a half, 2 there, and the whole board was there. I don't think anybody was missing. And I would have to say that this was one of the most invested boards that I had seen in a long time. I mean, everyone had something to say, had some kind of idea, a thought. We just all engaged and we're just exploring different things. Just trying to come up, just something to go off of. And they were just very invested. And my suggestion was, hey, the board, come to a meeting. Come to the city meeting with Lynn. And here they are. The majority of them are here. I think maybe 2 are missing, but
Yeah.
the majority of them are here. And I would have to say that was most of us females, women were the ones that were doing most of the talking.
Imagine that.
I think John was the only guy there that day, and he just kind of sat back and let us
Gabert's
do
very
all the
quiet.
talking. And they were, and I kind of felt bad, so I walked up to him at the end, and I'm like, "Hey, John, do you have any questions for me? You know, are you good?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And Lynn's like. And the other ladies are like, "He's used to this. He's used to letting us do all the talking."
We just tell him what he needs to do.
I was like, okay, I just want to make sure he got her too. But no, it was a great experience. We're going to do it again. We're going to set up another meeting for next month. We just wanted to wait till after this meeting. But yeah, so it was a very invested board. I was pleased with all the ideas they had and the excitement and investment they have in the center.
Well, like I
And they
said-
do have a lot to offer. And actually, I wanted them to think beyond, outside their doors, even, because I think they have more to offer than they realize, even outside their doors.
Well, I would say, I think we know that, but it's just limited resources, limited energy. I mean, we're all seniors.
Right, we did talk about resources too, and how to bring in more of the seniors. We talked about using APS, maybe getting some of their brochures to APS as a resource for the elderly, for the activities and things like that. But even just family members being able to, take their loved one there and for a meal and enjoy a meal together or an activity together or something. I mean, it goes beyond the walls. It really does.
Yeah. We're all about community at the center.
How are you coming on your fundraising for your roof?
Well, right now we have $8,000, and we have someone that's matching donations from the concert up to $5,000 on June the 7th. So it's slow. It gets there. We had very generous donors last year that helped us with the bathroom project, which has made a huge, huge difference in the center. I don't know if any of you had seen what the bathrooms look like before, but yeah. And that has helped a lot with the morale at the center too, is to, have nice bathrooms to be able to go into.
Yeah.
Do you have a tentative end date for your fundraising efforts for your roof?
Well, we just earmark everything that we get between April and September. September is our big donor campaign month that we get matching funds through Central Kansas Foundation's Patterson grant. It happens in September. So that's why we just take those months, and whatever we make in those months goes towards helping us get the matching grant in September. So
then your goal is if you don't hit it this September, then you'll try and hit it the following September. Is that right?
well, then we'll just continue. It's hard to, I can't get grants. I mean, my thought is, and I'm not afraid to ask, although I can say no, but I think that there's an opportunity with GAF to go to them and say, listen, this is a great community thing. Is there a possibility that you could help out with our roof? Because we have GAF material on the roof now in patched places where
know
we've had leaks.
Do you know what type of a roof that is? Is that a flat roof? Is it a roll roofing, or do you know what it is?
It's well, I call it a membrane roof, but the guy from Ray Roofing called it something else, and I can't remember what the word was, but it's basically a membrane that's rolled out in sheets. So he could patch. He patched about 1,000 square foot where we had a leak, and he used GAF material to make that patch, because then he said we could just butt up to that patch and just continue with the rest of the roof. So, and they've also been generous enough to hold off billing us for that patch until we get the campaign, the donor campaign going in September.
That was going
So-
to be my question is what has your repair costs been averaging for that roof?
Well,
year
they've,
over
like I
year?
said, they've been very generous. Ray Roofing has been very generous. They've just been patching with the idea that we are going to do the entire roof at some point, but patching in a way that they'll be able to butt it up. And so when we're done, the whole roof will be $80,000 to $90,000, but we've not had to pay anything out yet so far for any of the patches that they've put on. So we'll have to eventually pay for it, so, but, you know, for right now, that's what we're, you know. And like I said, they use GAF materials with the hopes of maybe being able to get some kind of help from GAF in the future,
It's a great idea.
so. Because I think, I shared last year, 3M came in to give me a quote on putting film on the front windows. And once we got them in the door and they saw what we were doing, they donated the film to us and they got somebody to donate the labor. So that was almost a $7,000 job would have been, because they're south-facing windows and they're huge windows. So that's, the thing is that I'm not asking for the whole thing, you know, from GAF, but I'm just asking if they could help us in some way with the material.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Any other questions?
You did great.
Thanks.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you all for coming out.
Yep, thank you to the board.
You don't need a motion or anything on that, right? The next item on this evening's agenda is to receive the 2026 Harvey County EDC budget request. Beth?
Good evening. I'm Beth Shelton, the Executive Director of Harvey County Economic Development. Thank you for letting me come and present to you tonight. I think you all have, our budget up there. So the EDC is funded by all of the municipalities in Harvey County. This is probably a refresher for some of you. We have had the same ask as we did back in 2008. So I became the executive director in 2017. And at that time, we reevaluated what we were asking and we went back and asked for the same amount as 2008. So that's what we've been operating with. As you know, it's gotten harder and harder to do that each year. So we've tried to be creative and put some money in CDs that we have pretty good returns on. But this year we are needing to ask for a 5% increase from all of our funding partners. Rent, normal cost of doing business has gone up. There is a portion here that's called special projects that you can notice that line item is higher. In 2017, we used reserves to pay for a competitive realities report called the Garner Study. It's on our website. It's something that we kind of use as our playbook. It gave us target industries that we should try to find opportunities within. It helped us figure out where we might be able to make changes, different communities that are doing things better than us. And we were very successful. We took all the recommendations. We had board retreats. We said, okay, how can we implement this? It sits on my desk. It's written on, it's just outdated now. So we need to have that redone. So we went back with Garner since we were very happy with the product that they gave us before. And also we got a little bit of a discount by going with them again this time. Jay Garner and Ross Patton wrote the book, if you were at our annual meeting, that's Economic Development is still not for amateurs. So Jay Garner is the one that does this competitive realities report. He is a past president of the International Economic Development Council. So that's part of the increase. My board asked that we budget for it so that down the road, 5-7 years from now, there will be some money set aside to do this for the next go around. Other things, salaries increased. We do also on that special projects. Last year we put money towards the Brooks Trade Center for creating that career pathway for the electricians. We gave $10,000 towards that. just various things that come up that we can help with, like optioning land. We would pull that from the Special Projects Fund. When I first started, the City of Newton had a lot of options on lands. We let those go away, and now the EDC is working creatively to figure out how we can, we did an option last year, doing a different structure going forward, but we are having to rebuild because we've been successful in what we've been doing in almost all of our communities, and so we need to identify new land so that we can continue that growth. So some of that special projects could go towards that as well. GF gets a lot of buzz. It's a great project. We won an award for the best manufacturing project in the nation with GF. But there's a lot of other exciting things happening. So last year, if you look at the last 12 months, we had about $21.5 million in capital investment. Some existing companies that were growing, like CD Customs, Hillsborough Industries moving into Harvey County, out there off of First Street. So we have a lot of positive things happening. The way that we're structured, when you are a funding partner, then you appoint people to our board. The City of Newton and Harvey County each get to appoint 3 members. Everyone else appoints 2. You appoint 3 because you are our largest funding partners. And then in addition to that, your city manager or administrator is an ex officio on our board that gets voting power if a voting member is not there. But it's been a really busy time. Our project activity has still been going strong and increased. We did see it dip a little bit right after change in office and things, but it's ramping back up and we're seeing activity again. When I look at the projects that came across, 5 years ago, we are 4 times as many. So the activity and the response is huge. We're seeing some really good projects that I think are spinoffs of some other activity that's happening, and that's exciting too. So just really thankful for the partnership that we have here in Harvey County. We all operate on that. If one of our communities does well, all of our communities do well. We are all in this together, and I think if you're part of my board, you know that, you see that in action with our board meetings and the support that we have for each other. But I really thank you guys for the support that you've had for the Harvey County Economic Development for many years. You were one of the brainchilds of creating the organization, and we're seeing success, and that's because of your guys' willingness to be out there and understand projects and understand what's good for the community and evaluate projects and not just want everything that comes across to figure out what's right and what's smart growth for our community. So, do you have questions?
Yeah, how did you manage to go down just a bit on utility costs and office supplies?
We turn the lights off a lot more, and we're just using old pencil. No,
I was hoping you were not just flushing the stool
They
once
see
every
my
3
pen.
days.
They see my pins. They have to give me pins now. We just looked at what we actually operated at last year, and we put that same number in, so we had a little flush. So.
Yeah.
We did on some of the shared agreements. We went with the chamber, so we used to each have our own copiers, and so we decided, okay, there's 7 of us, we can all use the same copier, so we got a new contract for that. So it's just things that we could share in a way that made sense. We've done that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on our agenda this evening is to receive a request for snow fencing along First Street from Sand Creek to the west side of the arena for the Junior Rodeo.
Yes. This is a request that we receive every year for the Junior Rodeo that comes to town. They have asked for snow fencing, and staff has looked at this and would recommend approval.
I recommend that we approve the Junior Rodeo request.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion carries. Next item this evening is to consider a request to close West First Street from Meridian to Grandview and Grandview to Athletic Park for the Harvey County Free Fair Parade. And
Yes, you have this request for the annual parade that they are going to do on, I believe it's the 31st that they're doing this parade. And they're wanting to close First Street. We have moved that from downtown to First Street, which seems to work really well. They turn at Grandview and then go into the park to use that. They are also asking for some city assistance, and Ed, I'm sorry, have you guys met with them yet? 29th. Okay. They usually get together and go over everything that they are needing, their requests, that you have those in here. You also have a schedule of events of everything that is happening for the upcoming fair time. And staff has looked over this closing request and the other city assistants and would recommend approval.
I would make the motion that we approve the fair's request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Next item is a brief executive session. Chris?
I move that the city commission recess into executive, oh, did you want to say why?
I was just going to tell you 7:45.
7:45, into executive session to conduct discussions with legal counsel. The justification for closing the meeting is to consult with the city attorney to discuss matters privileged under the attorney-client relationship. And the time and place at which the open meeting shall resume is 7:45 PM at the city commission chambers.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. It is now 7:45. We have returned from an executive session where no action was taken. And we will move on with our agenda this evening. The next item is to consider an agreement for conveyance of permanent right-of-way and easement with Claassen LLC. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a follow-up from our previous meeting in which the City Commission initiated condemnation proceedings to acquire right-of-way. As we stated during that meeting, parties continue to negotiate. Those two paths can run in parallel in terms of a eminent domain taking and a negotiated settlement. Staff has continued to have those discussions, and we've offering this agreement. It's 4 documents that are in your agenda packet. It's an agreement for conveyance of right-of-way. It's the actual document that would get recorded with the Register of Deeds, the right-of-way conveyance, a farm lease agreement, and then a bill of sale for a well. So again, this pertains to about 0.13 acres of real property on hillside. The negotiation includes the property owners giving that right-of-way for that 0.13 acres, as well as signing off the interest in the well. As I mentioned in the memo, typically we have just a simple per acre price for right-of-way interests. This one was somewhat complicated by the existence of that well. We've negotiated the terms that the city would provide, which is $29,000 roughly in cash considerations for the right-of-way and the well, and then also the attached farm lease for an unadjacent property to farm on a 7-year term, and that's included in your agenda packet. That is a 7-year term, but as with all of our farm contracts, it does have a early termination provision whereby if the city develops that property, typically for an economic development prospect, the contract can be cut short. So I would stand for any questions on this agreement, but should you choose to go forward with this agreement, it's already been signed by the sellers. You would approve the agreement, the right-of-way conveyance, the farm lease agreement, and the attached bill of sale. I would stand for any questions on
All
this.
in one motion?
One motion, if you could include those 4 items for approval.
What, this might actually be more of an Ed question. What's the anticipated cost for capping off that well?
Well, I think can you hear me?
Speaking in teacher voice will be good.
Capping off the well, I'm anticipating somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000,
Okay.
give or take.
All right. I just need it for my understanding of total project, so thank you. Any other questions? I would call for a motion.
I move that we approve the 4 items that our city attorney has outlined.
Second.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion carries. Next item this evening is to consider a resolution to issue a water warning for city water service customers.
I do, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioners. So with the recent rains and the forecast ahead, we do not need to issue a water warning at this point. We did some testing this morning on a couple of our wells, and we're seeing a rise in water just from this last rain event that we had this weekend. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. We're still in a water watch, but the water warning is not necessary at this time. That's not to say it won't potentially still occur, but right now we're okay. So I thought what we could do, Danielle and I spoke a little bit this morning, that what I could do instead of us issuing a water warning, we could do just a short little presentation on the stages of water watch, water warning, water emergency. So with that, Aaron helped me with a PowerPoint here, so.
Next time it gets dry, I think we need to put that back on the agenda so it'll rain some more.
If that works, then I'll do that, yes.
And Cheney will be copying us.
So just a little bit of background. So we have been operating in a water watch scenario since September of 2023. What triggered that was that we fell, there's several levels, but our groundwater fell to a level that triggered a water watch. And so we've been watching all of our wells, our groundwater, all of the different triggers and pieces of our plan so that we are staying on top of that, so that we know the next step happens, the next trigger gets pulled, the next stage we would potentially go to. So as you know, it's been really dry, and on May 13th, Governor Kelly, she declared a water emergency for parts of Harvey County. Now, there are parts of Harvey County that are in a water emergency. We were not, based on our plan and based on where our levels were and what we look at and check forth. So we weren't at that point of a water emergency yet, but we were coming up on the water warning really close. A water warning, one of the triggers is if we fall, if the groundwater levels fall 10 feet below the 10-year running average, seasonal running average, that would require us going to a water warning, water warning. So on May 19th, when staff gave me the readings, we were at 9.9. So that's when I reached out to Daniela, reached out to Commission here and said, hey, I think we're ready. We're going to have to go to a water warning. Well, then, as luck would have it, and blessings abundant, we got some rain, and the rain has helped. And so as of this morning, like I said earlier, we're about a foot higher in some of our wells. So we're kind of back in that water watch stage. So next slide. So the purpose of our conservation plan, obviously we're going to reduce water consumption, loss, and waste. We want to improve the efficiency of water usage from treatment to storage to distribution. We look at things like if there's a main break, we want to get out and get that fixed as soon as possible, so we're not just letting water run down the curb. We consider, we put out educational flyers and information on the water bills that talk to, using your sprinklers in the evening versus in the heat of the day, because a lot of that just goes wasted to evaporation. So just little things like that. We, don't, when you brush your teeth, turn the water off while you're brushing, then turn it back on. To do full loads of laundry, don't just do partial loads. Just try to educate and get that message out there that how important it is to preserve our water supply. So then stage one of a water watch is really just enhancing our communication, our messaging, how important it is to make folks aware of drought conditions and educate, like I said earlier, put stuff on the water bills, social media, things like that, which we have been doing since 2023. We've been trying to do that pretty regularly. And then from there, if we're still hitting those triggers, that would put us into a water warning. Our goals of a water warning are reducing our peak demand by 20%, overall consumption by 10%. Again, this is still a voluntary piece. It's highly recommended that customers and citizens would not use water to the same degree that they were using while they were in a water watch or nothing at all. And so in this scenario, we would request that they, we do water your lawns on odd even days or fill your pool once a week. There's a number of items in the water plan that we would kind of push out and try to do some more education on it. If that still doesn't get us where we need and we're still seeing deterioration in the water system, then we go into a water emergency. And in a water emergency, all bets are off. It's banned at that time. Like wasting water is banned. It's prohibited. That's where we'd have to enforce, do a lot of enforcement because we want to reduce our demand by 50% and our overall weekly consumption by 25%. I've never had to experience this in my career, and I hope I never have to, but certainly it's there, and we would rather plan for it than not be ready at all if something were to happen. At least we have something kind of ready to go if we get to that point, which I hope doesn't happen. So,
Would you ban just the use of city water, excessive amounts, or?
yeah, so we would encourage even well water, but we don't have any jurisdiction over well water. But certainly I would encourage it because it's technically all coming from the same, the groundwater. So we don't have jurisdiction over it. That would have to be allowed unless we made some sort of a change there.
But you would suggest that somebody running off of well water.
Sure. Well, I would,
reduce the
yeah,
same
it'd be just an education,
Okay.
Yeah. Trying to make people understand how important it is, and that even though it's not under the control of the city, it certainly will have an impact on water losses. So, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we leave that on for next time?
Next item this evening is to consider an ordinance amending the zoning code pertaining to maximum sidewall height for accessory structures. Chris?
Cover this. This item comes from the Planning Commission. It's a zoning code amendment. Changes to zoning regulations, specifically Article 3 pertaining to accessory structures and their sidewall heights. With any change to our zoning code, there is a notice provision where we notice up a public hearing and conduct a public hearing at the Planning Commission level. That happened in this instance. So the memo in your packet that was drafted by Justin Erickson includes the old rule, which was accessory structures, and we're talking about basically shops, detached garages, et cetera. There was a maximum sidewall height of 12 feet. The proposed amendment that's been codified in the ordinance before you changes that to 80% of the height of the primary structure, and that's included in the ordinance for you. It went through the discussion and the analysis step at the Planning Commission level, and the ordinance is reflecting that recommendation. I would stand for any questions. I think city staff, Ed, anyone else could as well.
Seems like a fairly common sense
Yeah.
area of agreement.
Right, they include a lot of the data of surrounding communities too, and looked at all those things. It was very thorough.
This puts us more in line with City of Wichita too, so.
What's the ordinance number?
Sure. 5167-25.
I move that we approve 5167-25.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The motion carries. Next item this evening is Sand Creek Summer Days. Is that
Okay.
2 items?
Yes. So we had an application for the Sand Creek Summer Days, and in order to accommodate them to get the application done and into the state in a timely manner, we needed to put this on the agenda. So this is just for June 20th and 21st. The times are from 4 to midnight on the 20th, and then from 2 p.m. to midnight on the 21st. And it does meet all the requirements needed by that. And then I would just tell you that after that, we would have a resolution that we have to send in, that they have to send in with the state when they send their application in. And that's what the next item is under that, is just to approve that they can be holding that we're okay with that. I'd stand for any questions.
Okay.
Two separate ordinances, or two separate motions.
Call for a motion to approve the temporary alcohol permit for Sand Creek Summer Days.
I think that Commissioner Cry, you probably need to recuse yourself.
That's why I haven't made the motion.
Yeah, so we'll just, he needs to,
Right.
because there's a conflict
the
of interest.
applicant.
Thank you.
Would you like to make that motion?
I will. I motion that we approve the summer days alcohol permit, temporary alcohol permit.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Any
Abstain.
abstain? The motion carries. Resolution number?
Yeah, hang on. Sorry.
You're good.
It would be G135759, sorry.
I move that we approve G1359.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Any abstain? Awesome. All righty. That's it. No one signed up for citizen forum.
Did you want to say anything? Okay.
All righty. Well, we will go around the horn. Commissioner Balatek?
Nothing now. Just thank you.
I don't have anything.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
I don't have anything.
Right. Well, with that,